The soft hum of chatter filled the small-town diner that Friday night, the kind with checkered floors, coffee always hot, and walls lined with old photos of soldiers and farmers who'd built the place decades ago. The neon sign outside buzzed faintly, Daisy's Diner, home of the sweetest pie in town. Inside, under the warm glow of hanging lights, Jack Turner sat at a booth by the window, a strong, quiet man with eyes that had seen too much. His military jacket, neatly folded beside him, told 1,000 untold stories. A half-empty glass of water sat in front of him, condensation slowly dripping down as the clock ticked towards 7. Jack checked his watch. Ixa 59. He'd been early. Habit. Discipline, whatever you called it. The military never left you. He brushed a hand through his hair and let out a slow breath. "You got this," he murmured under his breath. "It's just dinner. Just dinner." But this wasn't just dinner. It was his first date in nearly 6 years. His first since Emily, his wife, passed away. She'd been his high school sweetheart, the girl who used to wait for him on the porch after every deployment. A drunk driver had taken her away one rainy night, leaving him with 2 little kids and an ocean of grief. For years, Jack told himself he didn't have time for anyone new, between raising Ben, 10, and Mia, 7, and working 2 jobs at the auto shop and the hardware store. Life left no room for romance. Until last week, his friend, a fellow veteran named Hank, had grinned and said, "Go, buddy, it's time you live again. There's this app, Heartline. She's a single mom, kind, loves kids, teaches 3rd grade. Just meet her for coffee." Jack had laughed it off, but somehow the chat turned into messages, the messages into laughter, and before he knew it, Friday, 7 p.m. at Daisy's, was on his calendar. Her name was Sarah, or at least that's what her profile said. Her messages were warm, funny, and real. Jack found himself smiling at his phone again. It's something he thought he'd forgotten how to do. Now it was 7:10. The waitress came by again, her notepad ready. "Still waiting, hun?" He nodded, forcing a polite smile. "Yeah, she'll be here." The waitress gave him a look, the kind that mixed sympathy with quiet doubt. "All right, sugar. You want me to keep the water full?" "Yeah, thanks." Jack checked his phone. No new messages. The little typing bubble that had given him hope an hour ago was gone. He scrolled back through their chat, the way she'd said, "I'm nervous too, Jack, but I feel like I already know you." By 7:25, the diner had filled up. Families laughed, couples leaned close over shared milkshakes, and Jack sat alone, the empty seat across from him feeling heavier by the minute. A man at the counter glanced his way, whispered something to his wife. Jack wasn't sure if they were pitying him or just curious about the tall, silent man in military boots, waiting for someone who clearly wasn't coming. He tried to tell himself it was fine, that maybe she got caught in traffic. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she'd realized she could do better. Then the door jingled open. Jack's head lifted, heart skipping once. But it wasn't Sarah. It was a woman with 2 little boys, laughing about spilled ice cream. Then a group of teens. Then a delivery man. Each time the bell rang, Jack's heart jumped, then sank again. By 7:45, his shoulders slumped. He took a deep breath, gathered his courage, and reached for his wallet. "Guess that's that," he whispered. He slid a few bills under the cup and started to rise. Then a voice, small, innocent, breathless. "Mr. Jack, wait!" He turned. 4 little figures stood in the doorway. 2 boys. 2 girls, none older than 10. Their shoes squeaked against the floor as they ran up, clutching something in their hands, a folded piece of paper. The oldest girl, maybe 9, had big brown eyes and hair in pigtails. She looked up at him, cheeks flushed. "You're Mr. Jack, right?" she asked, trying to catch her breath. Jack blinked. Yeah. Who are you kids?" The smallest boy, a toddler, tugged at his jeans and handed him the folded paper. "Our mommy's sorry she's late." Jack slowly unfolded the paper. It was a note written in rushed handwriting. "Dear Jack, I'm so sorry. Please don't leave. I'm on my way. Something unexpected happened. Please wait just a few more minutes. Sarah." He stared at the words, confused and curious. "Your mommy?" he asked softly. The oldest nodded. "Yes, sir. Mommy's Sarah. She told us to run ahead. Her car broke down just down the street. She said not to let you leave, 'cause she didn't want you to think she stood you up. Jack felt his chest tighten. He looked down at the four faces, each one smiling shyly, eyes filled with innocence. "Well," he said after a moment, voice gentle, "I guess I can wait a little longer." The kids giggled and climbed into the booth with him, like they'd known him forever. One reached for the napkin holder. Another started playing with the salt shaker. The waitress walked by, paused, and blinked in surprise. "Didn't realize your date came with a whole team, hun," she said with a grin. Jack laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. "Guess I didn't either." The oldest girl looked up at him. "You're a soldier, right?" "Mommy said you help people." Jack nodded slowly. "Used to. Now I mostly fix engines." The middle boy piped up. "Mommy says you fix broken things." "That's good. We break a lot of stuff." They all giggled again, and for the first time since Emily's passing, the heavy silence in Jack's heart began to lift. There was something about their energy, chaotic but pure, messy but full of life, that filled the void he'd carried so long. A few minutes later, the bell over the diner door rang again, and this time it wasn't a stranger. A woman stood in the doorway, rain dripping from her coat, hair a little wild from the wind. She looked around, breathless, then saw the kids crowded around Jack's booth, laughing, coloring on napkins. Her eyes widened in disbelief, and something like relief washed over her face. "Kids," she said softly, hurrying over. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, But before she could finish, Jack stood up. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world around them went quiet. She looked exactly like her picture, and yet more real, more alive. Freckles across her nose. Eyes that had clearly seen their share of hard days, but still shone with warmth. "I'm Sarah," she breathed, cheeks flushed. "I'm so sorry. My car broke down 2 blocks away. I didn't want you to think—" Jack raised a hand gently. "It's okay. Your messengers found me." He glanced down at the 4 smiling faces. "We've been getting acquainted." Sarah laughed, a soft, nervous, genuine sound. "I can see that. They didn't scare you off?" "Not yet," Jack said, smiling. And somehow in that tiny diner, something shifted. 2 souls, one broken, one burdened, found a spark neither expected. And 4 little kids, giggling between milkshakes and crayons, became the reason 2 lonely hearts might finally heal. Sarah sat down across from him, still catching her breath. "Thank you for waiting," she said softly. Jack looked at her, really looked, and said, for the first time in a long while, "I'm glad I did." Outside, rain tapped gently against the window as the diner lights glowed warmer. Somewhere between laughter and spilled milkshakes, the night turned into something more, not just a date, but the beginning of something that felt like home.